Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of
The Eldritch Podblast.
I am Margaret.
I am Jack.
And welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for turning up.
Yeah, for turning up.
Turning up, yeah.
Turn down for what?
No, no.
Oh, how did we get here
Not
so
a good
quickly?
not a good reference.
No. What do you mean not a good reference? That's a great song.
Turn down for what?
Yeah, we'll just get copyright struck. We can't get copyright struck. We don't. We're not monetized.
Yeah.
Anyway, hello.
But if we were, boom.
Anyway, how is everyone? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great, thank you. You know what? In the interest of being totally transparent,
Yeah.
we have already tried to record today.
Yeah. Well, no, we successfully recorded episode 7.
Yes, we record both of the episodes in one day.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to be doing that from now on though.
Yeah. Listen, there was a lot going on. We have a very impatient dog.
Very, very impatient, needy dog.
We lost some footage, and honestly, I just wanted to say that because maybe some of you are also trying to start a YouTube channel, trying to start a TikTok channel, and you will know things sometimes just don't go to plan, and that's okay.
It happens.
It's okay. You just
It's a little disheartening, but you just gotta eat some cheesy chips and then come back for a
eat
second
some cheesy
round.
chips, have a doner kebab.
Yeah, the dog is now currently sleeping,
Yep.
so
My breath smells like garlic and nothing else.
it's a good job there's a pop shield in the way.
Hell yeah. Nice. Did that sound horrid?
Not really, couldn't really hear it that much. I mean, you could hear that because I was far more intentionally loud.
Okay, so shall we get on to... Is there anything you want to update the people on?
I don't think so. I think that's probably all that's happened since the last time we recorded,
That's very true.
which was that.
Yep, and I changed my top.
You changed your top.
Yep.
Yeah, good. I turned my hat backwards
Nice.
to make people think that it's a different
The
day.
illusion of a different day, baby. Yeah. Okay, so today's topic.
Yeah.
We actually wanted to talk about some world building in D&D.
Yes.
This was actually your idea.
Yeah, it was. We'll go deeper into it as we go.
Yeah.
But, you know,
No, imagine if we left it.
that was it.
Bye.
There's a lot of things that go into being a dungeon master.
Yes.
Obviously, if you're running modules, this part isn't as you don't do it as much. You can still do it. You can still like start a module and then like expand and build your own world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Margaret likes to big me up on this podcast about being a great DM.
No, because he is. Honestly, you are.
But there's things that I suck at, and I'll be 100% honest. World building is a big challenge for me.
Yeah.
All of the games that I run at homebrew, so it was more for the people out there that are about to run a homebrew world, are about to try and like start their own world building process and stuff like that. Maybe there's a couple of tricks that you can do that I use.
Yeah, and potentially a couple of few that I used.
Yeah, because Margaret did it wasn't for a super long time.
It was a very fleeting amount of time.
But you did put a lot of effort into the world.
I actually did put a few months into the world and everything beforehand. And
this is why it's going to be a little juicer of a podcast because I fucking hate world building and Margaret fucking loves it.
I loved world building.
Yeah.
The whole reason I don't DM anymore is because it was more like I was writing a book.
Yes.
Which, you know, think of that what you will.
I'm excited to hear about things about the world that I maybe didn't know.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm excited to hear about how you start, because when we were planning this, we obviously we talked about it, and there was a few things that I said straight off the bat that you were like, I had no idea you did that.
No idea.
So I turned to a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And I think you prefer to just have them cogs go and make it yourself.
Yeah. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
And because we'll get into it.
Well, no, what were you going to say?
No, because I know that there's a lot of homebrew worlds out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like specifically, Critical Role.
Yes.
Is so huge, and Matthew Mercer, is an absolute genius when it comes to world building.
Absolutely the golden standard.
It's fucking insane how amazing he is. And for someone that's how I got into D&D, and somebody who went straight into homebrewing a campaign, I was like, well, Matthew Mercer did all this, so I have to do all that.
And to be fair, the first campaign we played in, which was our friend Matthew, not Mercer, he also went straight into a homebrew world as well.
Yeah. And we'll talk about him because I know he won't mind us talking about what he did for his campaign, and I think it was actually quite a smart idea what he did.
Yeah, it was. He showed us after the fact, and my mind was blown at the way he'd done it.
Yeah, but it's, like a lot of people, that is a lot of the way these days that people get into D&D, and they think that he does it, so you have to do it. So it's like just a couple of tips and a couple of reassurances from us.
Yeah, and there's also a chance. I know we keep saying this is predominantly a DM thing. However, your DM might turn around to you and say, as a player, could you please build part of the world where your character's from?
I let you guys do that. Yeah. That's a little trick that I use.
That's a trick that I also
and I think
used as well.
Quite a few DMs use that, but it's good if you're a first-time DM. It's a good little trick, but we'll get into that. So what's the first point on our list?
Well, the first point...
Before we talk about all of them out of order, as we've started to do.
When we're editing this later, we're like, what the
But this is what happens. Like, we make a little we'll talk about it like this, and then we'll start, and then we'll just fucking go for it.
We'll just gab on,
and then we'll end up repeating ourselves.
That's the joy of a podcast, though. It's like, did we talk out of order? You'll never know. So the first thing we wanted to address was, what is world building?
Yeah,
because those two things meant very different things for me and you, and I can imagine you watching. You probably have an idea in your head immediately when you think world building.
Yeah.
So I'd like to pass the question to you. What do you perceive to be world building to be?
Okay. So when I began, it was world building. I felt like I had to build an entire world for you guys to be in.
Yeah.
That is not the case to me as a DM. To me as a DM, my world is built around two things. My players. And my story.
Yep.
First of all, my players. I go to each of my players and I say, who are you and where are you from?
What year is it?
And then they'll come up with some story. And, that story will then probably build a culture in my world.
Yeah.
And then that culture will build a community in my world.
Yeah.
And then that community will build a place in my world.
Yes.
So I let my 3 to 4 players build their little pieces, and I put them on the map.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just build a map, and I'll be like, oh, you came from an icy, snow-capped mountain area. There's some mountains, you're there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You grew up in a forest because you're a druid elf. You're here now.
Wonder who he's talking about there.
So, let your players build sections of your world for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do bits then on top of that, but then the second one, the history of my story. So, say there's a BBEG. In my first campaign, my big bad evil guy was buried beneath the continent, chained by 3 pillars of magic that was suppressing him because they couldn't kill him. He was too powerful.
Yeah.
So that meant there was 3 very far away areas from each other that were really fucking hard to get to.
Yeah.
That were buried or at the top of a mountain or in the depths of a swamp or built under a prison out at sea. Those were the 3 things. And that, then builds another 3 places. Then if you got 3 players and you got 3 pillars, you got 6 places.
Yeah.
Then you just got to fill in some of the dots. Who will they meet along the way and stuff like that.
And so is that what you perceive world building to be then? Do you perceive it to be the whole, literally building a world?
So that is literally if you took a map and you were build a world physically, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
My worlds, as you can probably tell by my new campaign, to me, building a world is hard. I care more about the story.
Yes.
How has the story defined the world? The new campaign that I run is a Norse-themed campaign. Everyone's just come out of the Fimbulwinter, and the land is thriving for some reason. You guys obviously don't know exactly why just yet, but coming out of the Fimbulwinter is a defining thing for every single person in the entire world.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't think they were going to make it out alive. Because after it was supposed to be Ragnarok, and Ragnarok hasn't happened. And that is, if you're trying to find a reason for a place to exist, okay, so it exists for this reason, they've just come out with the Fimbulwinter. How has that affected them?
Mm.
And I sort of build it around the stories my land has, not about this is a fishing village because we need fish.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, definitely.
And you know there's a place at the top of my map called Biltzfell Crater.
Yeah.
And there was a crater there, and that is there because that is where, when Tyr was sacrificing himself, his knee fell into the land, and it created a crater.
Yeah.
That to me is more important than like having a town for the sake of having a town.
Yeah.
I let my story build my world.
I agree.
Is what I mean.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
And you can very much tell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about you? Because I looked at some of your notes, and do you know what? To me, that looks like fucking pain.
Well, when I think world building, so to be honest, I actually am very similar to you.
Okay.
I go to my players first. I not only just go to them and say, give me your backstories. I created a questionnaire, basically, that had some questions about the characters that people answered, and some of those answers did help shape my world. Some of them were just stupid questions like...
What's your favourite colour?
Yeah, literally.
That was in there.
Literally, what is your favourite colour? Some of the other questions are, where did you grow up? Where did you spend most of your time when you were younger? What's your biggest fear? And things like that, although it doesn't seem like it on the surface, did help to build the world. Now, I guess the question of what do I perceive to be world building, I think I took it more literally than how you did. I took it as, God, I have to make a map. I have to make names for all of my towns. I have to make names for the NPCs. I have to work out what shops are in the town. I have to work out what the population of the town is. I have to work out if there's magic in this town. And that's what I went to with world building.
Yeah, see, I was shaking my head there, but I was shaking my head for if I tried to do that, I just wouldn't do it because I wouldn't enjoy it and I'd burn myself out.
Yeah, and to be honest, looking back on it now, I know I said I do really enjoy world building, but I think I enjoy world building more in the sense of what Jack was talking about, was curating something based on the story of the land as opposed to what's the population, what's the water source, etc.
Like if you tell and it's okay, just so all you new DMs out there know, it's okay to not know. If somebody asked me the current town that you're in my place, you said what's the population, I'd say I don't know and I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
And do you know what? Your players don't care either.
Unless they do. And the thing is, if you care, that's fine. I just don't. And if I try to think of those things, I'd just not have fun.
Yeah, I think, you know what? So, going back to what I said about what I think, when it comes to world building, the Dungeon Dudes did a great video outlining... Well, I love the Dungeon Dudes. So do I. They're so much.
So awesome.
And they give such good resources.
Yeah.
And they had a world building video that shaped how I approached, I would say more so like cities and towns and everything.
Yeah.
And some of them were population. How do they get food and water? What are the town's defenses? And in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have worried about those things. But because I was a new DM and I was scared if someone turned around to me, like you said, and said, what's the population? And I didn't have an answer. The ground could have swallowed me up and I would have never seen any of my friends again. Do you know what I mean?
I think in my first campaign, I used to be like that. I used to just make up an answer. And now it's just as simple as, you think I fucking thought that? Like, I can't think of everything.
And we as players do not care.
None of you care.
No one cares.
No one cares.
And there is nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. You can either go, I don't know, don't care. Or you can go, I don't know. I'll think about it and let you know next session.
Or you can just make it up.
You can just make it up.
Just make it up.
Although there is some caveats to making things up on the fly.
Yeah.
I think that I would like to talk about kind of a bit further down the line.
Okay.
In this conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's so if we're still on the world building, but I'll break it down a little bit more because I think when we were talking about world building, you showed me what you meant by world building, and you gone straight to towns. What was in those towns?
I did.
Whereas when I think of world building, I think of like culture of the land, or like where certain races live within the land,
yeah,
and why and things like that. So world building can mean anything.
Oh, it
to
can mean anything.
anyone.
Yeah.
But there's something that it was the other day we were playing and you turned up at the Buildfell Crater.
Yeah.
And like to me, and it just seriously comes down to what matters to you. You know, I know what my NPCs are going to look like. As soon as I think about, right, this guy's going to be a little bit of a...
Are we going to talk about Eggman here?
We're going to talk about Eggman. We're going to talk about Eggman. See, the thing is, I can't even tell you what his name is. Stackberg. Because to me, it's not that important. I knew he was a bit of a throwaway NPC.
Yeah.
And he was meant to be just a bit of a distasteful, nasty man.
Which he was, by the way.
And, you know, I knew that, and I played him like that, and everybody seemed to dislike him exactly the amount that I wanted them to. And I just made up on the spot what he looked like, because as soon as I start to think about it, I just, like, get a picture in my head and I make it up, and what his name was.
Yeah.
And Matthew was like, did you just make that up there? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, wow. And I was just like, no, not wow. It's just, I don't, like, that's not the shit I want to plan. I have other things that are more, when I'm planning, other things are more important to me than what this fucking dude's name that you're going to talk to wants. Do you know what I mean?
And then we proceeded to call him Eggman.
They called him Eggman anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's the only way we refer to him now. So
there's another thing that I would like to talk about.
Please do. Imagine if I was like,
No. So you know how you were talking about towns?
Yes.
Okay. So what I used to do was I used to sometimes even build maps of towns.
Yeah.
And sometimes I used to be like, oh, well, this town has to have something unique about it. And I used to have to think, now, where it is in the world, I go onto Pinterest.
Yep.
I Google town in snow.
Yeah.
Fantasy town in snow.
Yeah.
I pull it up. And on my notes, instead of having descriptions, because for me, and this may be the same for a lot of you, I am not a good reader.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No, fair enough.
I never have been. If I can just sit and read something, but if I have to then speak it out loud, I get nervous.
Yeah.
And I stumble over my words.
Yeah.
So when I have to do a description, I have pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
So I get a picture of an NPC, an important NPC, not Stackberg, not Eggman.
Eggman.
I have a picture of an NPC, or I have a picture of a town.
Yeah.
And I'll just look at it and I'll be like, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it works so much better for me.
It does. And, you know, as being your player, yeah, I agree. Your descriptions are so much more rich now that you look at a picture and you're able to quantify it into words, where I was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Although I would like... I would like to think that I'm okay at coming up with things on the fly. The joy I got out... Thank you. The joy I got out of it was writing the descriptions for things and reading out the descriptions for things.
Yeah.
That was where I got the joy from.
I know. And so this is a thing. You know, it's you're a player as the DM, as just as much as you the players are.
Yes.
But to me, I don't really care. I know it's going to sound blasphemous to say it as a DM. I don't really care about descriptions. To me, it's more about how you feel.
Yeah, yes.
And how your players feel and the emotions you feel. That's what I always like to really focus on.
Yeah, I agree.
And moments.
Yeah.
But to me, I know that Margaret and Matthew...
Oh, we love a description.
Oh, Jack, paint me a word picture.
Yeah,
paint me this, paint me that.
Picture.
So I do it for you guys.
You know what? I was going to say that. Like, find out what everyone likes.
Yeah, what matters to everyone.
Yeah, find out what, not even like, find out what matters to everyone. Find out what matters to you as a DM for your world, and then have your players also chime in on that. And then you'll find, eventually you'll get into a rhythm of, okay, I know when I'm going into planning this session, what I need to prioritize and what just doesn't matter. And I think you're very good at doing that now.
Yeah, I didn't used to be. I used to be terrible. I could spend fucking... like 9 hours planning a session.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah, I know you were just as bad.
I spent days planning.
I know, and it's no good.
It's no good.
Like,
you're right.
Unless you've got the time and you want to do it, then it is good. And I'm not telling you what to do, because if that's what you want to do with your
if that's
time,
what you enjoy,
fucking thrive, bitch, thrive.
I enjoyed that as well.
I know you did.
But you know, we have full-time jobs. So.
Yeah, and we don't have all that time.
Exactly.
So I think an important thing is, if you're trying to plan a session or a world and you're planning all these things that you don't want to do, you're just going to fucking burn yourself out.
100%.
Like being like, oh man, I'm going to have to fucking do all these descriptions. And it's like, I still wanted to do descriptions for my players because I know how much they love the descriptions. But what I had to do was find an alternative,
Which you have.
which I did.
Yeah.
But
There is always an alternative.
I told Margaret the other day when we were on our way to a gig, I was like, "What did you think of the session last night?" Didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Did you think it was good, different at all?" And you were like, "No, it was a good session, and I enjoyed it." And I was like, "Okay, what did I tell you if I told you I made no notes?"
Which I would have keeled over and died.
Yeah.
If that was me trying to do a session with no notes, it just goes to show how different everyone is.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you like prepare as much as you feel comfortable.
Yes.
As long as you feel comfortable, you'll run a session. I used to do something. If there was like a dungeon crawl or like a big scene, I used to actually write it out like a screenplay.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I used to like write out like sort of like what would happen and what would be seen and stuff like that. And now I've come to the point where I think about my session, about what's coming up, so much in my head because I'm so bad at reading. If I put something down, like I might write it out to get it out of my head and get it on paper to be like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All of this text is what's going to happen. I'll get to the session, I won't look at it once.
Yeah.
Because I'm too
in the moment.
And I'm feeding off you and I'm feeding off Matthew and I'm like, oh, and then the woman does this and
oh
she
my God, what did she do?
I'm thinking about that when that thing happened to Matthew, like that big giantess lady, like stepped out of the darkness, and she was so tall and the room was so dark that you could only see like up to her shoulders. And then she like bent down and you saw like her pointy witch's hat, and
to which
she
Abby, our spooky friend, went ooh.
And like if I wrote that all out. I wrote like a massive like play by play of what was going to happen in that dream. You know, like you can't do that with just encounters all the time because encounters are random. But like this one, I have full control over this moment and this dream or this vision. I'll write it all out. I'll write like 3 pages and I won't look at it. Because if I look at it, I'll bog myself down and I'll stumble.
See, I was the exact opposite. I wrote everything down. Like Jack said, I wrote everything down kind of like a screenplay. And I would go through the notes and I would read it as it was written. And I feel like I really enjoy reading things out.
You're really good at it though. That's why you articulate very well.
Thank you.
And you've got a nice pace when you read.
Thank you.
I do not. I have a horrendous pace when I read.
No, it's not that you have a horrendous pace, but I know what you mean.
Margaret, I have a horrendous pace.
You don't have a horrendous pace.
It's okay.
You don't. But yes, reading out loud is not your strong point.
No, it's not. It's a very weak point.
I really enjoy it. Exact opposite for me. If I had a scene planned or like an introduction to someone or an NPC planned and I didn't read it exactly as it was, or someone interjected or said something, I would get flustered.
Yeah.
And that's when I would start to panic.
Yeah. The thing is though, I watched you DM and you could sit behind that screen and you could be looking at your laptop and you could be reading out, and because of the pace you could read, and you were like looking up and still giving everyone eye contact and stuff like that, it was still great.
Thank you.
So like the way that you did it worked for you and it was perfect. If I tried to do that, everyone would be like,
Is he
okay? Is he all right?
Do we call the doctor?
Does he need glasses? Can he see? Is it blank? Is he just making it up and pretending to read?
Well, actually, that's the secret. It is blank.
Yeah, but that's because I don't try and read.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's funny how completely different it is, and I'm sure you guys listening, you're exactly the same. You will probably either, well, I was going to say, resonate with one of us more than the other.
Yeah.
But you probably have your very own way of doing it.
And also, and I said this to Margaret, because I turned up with no notes, I was like, I felt like I had to turn up to D&D with notes.
Yeah.
Otherwise I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, which is just so... I understand why you feel like that.
Yeah.
But that is just so silly.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like everyone prepares in their own way. And my way is thinking about the session from the moment we finish the last one to the minute that it starts. But I enjoy thinking about it.
Yeah.
And like, I would just want to get... I feel like when I just speak my thoughts, they come out better than if I try and read them.
Yeah.
So, and I did get bogged down being like, well, I can't do no, because it's like prep combats and prep, for any big moments happened, I always have to prep them.
Yeah.
But for some sessions, like last session, you guys had finished an arc, you went back to the town, you were relaying information to somebody, and you were then preparing for another. I didn't need any notes for that.
No.
But my first campaign, I'd have been like, well, I have to have some notes.
I know,
otherwise
yeah.
I haven't prepared. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't.
It's simply not the case.
I don't. So what I did was I began to plan your journey. So
Yeah.
now I'm ahead on that. So don't ever feel like there is an amount you need to plan. Because there isn't.
No,
there isn't a
there isn't.
quota you need to meet.
There isn't. As long as you're comfortable with how much you have prepared or haven't prepared, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And your players play such a huge amount in what happens in your world, what happens in your session. To be honest, this conversation kind of spans out more than just world building, doesn't it?
Yeah,
really?
yeah, of course it does, which I expected it to.
Yeah, it encompasses planning.
Yeah.
It encompasses how everyone is different.
Yeah.
Because we are very, very, very different.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I guess that kind of brings us on to the next point.
My last point.
Yes.
My absolute last point.
No, please.
Is, on that topic is...
Last point or die.
Last point or you actually... All right, shoot.
Yeah.
Try a few things.
Yeah.
I've been DMing for... God, I don't know, two years? 2 years?
Yeah.
Every single week, barely missed a week, 5-hour sessions. Like, I'm not like a massively experienced DM. I'm probably still in the newer camp if you take other people's experiences.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying different ways of preparing.
Yeah.
So if you're not comfortable and something's not feeling right or you're getting burnt out with your DMing style, just try something different. No one's going to judge you. And, take anything that I've said, take anything that Margaret said, give it a go. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine.
Listen, no one's going to know. How would they know?
How would they know?
No one's going to know.
They're going to know.
Honestly, your players will not know.
And or care.
And or care. And
care.
You have to think, knowing me as a player and knowing all of our friends as players, everyone is so wrapped up in their characters' thoughts, in their character's backstory, in the actual story. No one is going to care.
Yeah.
No one. And that's something I was so self-conscious about. I left every session being like, oh my God, what if they noticed that I said this wrong? What if they noticed that this thing that only I know, I did it wrong? Like, that's why I'm not the DM anymore. But do you know what I mean? And I'm sure I'm sure other people feel like that.
Yeah.
I was going to say I hope other people feel like that. I hope you don't.
No, I hope you don't. No.
It is a mental prison up here. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Oh dear.
So we've kind of already touched on it, but we had very different ways of world building.
Yeah.
Again, we've kind of gone into it, but do you want to elaborate more on anything about the specific way you do world build?
Do I want to go in anymore? I think for me, again, it's more story. I think about like the history of my story and how that could have impacted the world.
Yeah.
And then that does my world building for me. It's like, I don't need to just look at a map and go, I need a mountain range here. It's like, what is here? Could it have a mountain range? Why would there be a mountain range here? Because of my world.
I mean, like, where do you start? Do you start with a map? Do you start
usually? And me and Margaret have both used
the bean map.
The bean map.
Oh, what good fun a bean map is!
Just get a bunch of like kidney beans or like coffee beans.
Or you could do rice.
It's up to you.
Stick 2 pieces of paper together.
Yeah, get an A3 piece of paper. Get the rice.
I thought you said naked piece of paper.
And then just go
boink.
And just let go of them.
Let it go, man.
And then get your pen or your pencil and just draw around it.
Yeah. And you get some really interesting shapes. Although saying that, we did have to try a few times because we were just going.
Yeah, in the middle.
Just a one big lump.
I guess
big land
I guess
mass.
my land is just a circle.
is just a bean.
Yeah, but
that's good fun.
Yeah, that made mine. That's what I did for this one. My first one, I just went on Incarnate, an awesome map building place, and just literally just drew it.
Yeah.
With my hand, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I do look at some maps.
Yes, I did as well. I looked at many
And
maps.
I do get map envy.
Me too.
Because there are some fucking awesome
Me
maps
too.
out there.
Well, you know what? I would specifically
Beautiful
go on
maps.
the Incarnate subreddit.
I don't know how they do it.
Me neither.
Because I look at my map and I'm like, wow.
I know.
That sucks.
Yep.
But at the same time, my players love a map.
Yeah, we do love a map.
You guys love a map. You
Yeah.
always want a map like session 1, and
we really like to refer to geography. Oh no! I'm the one who's sick.
No.
Geographic. What am I saying here?
Geographical.
Geographically.
Oh no! Ladle.
Geographically, we like to have a reference of where we've been and where we're going.
Yeah. And it can also be a reminder of what happened there, and like, oh, do you remember when we were here and this happened?
Yeah.
And it's all and when we play, it's always on the screen because you guys love to refer to it so much. I don't put anything else on the screen. It is the map.
Yeah.
And if they go to a new place, I don't know. Should we try and throw up a picture?
Oh yeah, no. For anyone who's watching, we'll
I'll show you what my map currently looks like.
Yeah, I'll show you what my map looked like as well.
So we do the whole unfinished map.
Yes.
Sort of main cities, forests, mountain ranges, and things like that are already on the skeleton of the map.
Yeah.
And then as you go to like new places, new towns, see things, we add as we go.
Yes.
And that just works for us.
That I feel like that is so much freedom for the DM as well.
Oh my god, yeah. There's so many things that you've been to the prime example. You went to the crater, and then that dude stole that painting from you, and you chased him to those ruins.
Yeah.
And those ruins weren't on my map.
Yeah.
But because they weren't on my map, I just said that there was these ruins, and now they're on my map.
Yeah.
And that's
and
it.
Next session you put it on the map.
Yeah.
And it's exciting for everyone because you get to see exactly where it was.
Yeah.
And I think so if you again, it's completely up to what works for you.
Yeah.
But if you've pre-made a whole map, you're then kind of have to be married to the idea of the map.
That is what the map looks like, and that's where everything is.
Yeah.
You can,
exactly.
it could just have major cities and major land masses on there and stuff like that.
Hey, you don't even need a map.
You don't if you don't want to make
Honestly,
one.
You do not have to make a map if you don't see it pertinent to it. Maybe your campaign's just in one town.
Yeah.
Maybe your campaign
is in one city, one like area.
Yeah.
But for me, I'll be honest, it does help me figure out where you are going next.
Yes.
Somehow I look at the map and I'm like, okay, well next they're going to go up here and do this. And
it's like a good visual aid for you.
And also, you guys always want one. So
we do always want one.
I think to me it helps.
Yep.
I could understand doing it without. But you guys love a map, and I kind of like making the map.
Yeah.
I like making how it looks, like the skeleton of it.
Yes.
And then putting a few. The thing is, on my map, you can probably tell what's gonna happen and like where you're gonna go eventually, because those important bits are on the map.
Well, none of us look at it like that, though.
No, but like to me, it's sort of, you know when you look on a map on a fantasy game, and you're like, oh, look at that place. Oh man, I can't wait to go there. Like I get excited by like scrolling through World of Warcraft map. And, not now because I've been everywhere a bajillion times.
Yeah.
But you look at, like, a place when you first start and you're like, oh, that looks cool. I want to go there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, yeah.
It gives you that sort of fantasy, like, this world is real and big.
Yeah, see, you know what? You saying there, I really enjoyed making the map. I did not enjoy the map making.
No?
No, it's not that I didn't enjoy it, because Incarnate is very, very fun.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is Incarnate takes anything you do, makes it look amazing.
Yeah, you feel
makes
like
it look really good.
An actual cartographer.
Yeah.
When you're doing it.
Yeah, I think map making for me, because geography is not my strong point.
No.
Let's not get into that.
It's not.
It's not my strong point, and I'm not very good with proportion and perspective in general.
Yeah.
So for me, I took it way too logically.
Okay.
I think I got really caught up in the distance between things
Yeah.
and making sure it was correct. I actually ended up making a key,
Yeah.
being like, this square is a day's worth of travel.
Yeah.
And I broke it down into like 7 days, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, I got way too into it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you know what? Yes, it is a good idea.
If those things matter to you, it is.
Not if you're that way inclined. I didn't understand it, and it stressed me out a little bit. And then
See, there
I
you
felt
go.
like,
If it stresses you out,
exactly,
just don't do it.
exactly. No one cared that I had not factually, but like a correct sized key for how long things took. Most of the time, people didn't even do that. People just looked and went, it's about 3 days.
Oh, how long does it take to get there? And then when you were like, it takes this many days. All right, it's fine.
I specifically made it so if I put the map up on the screen, a thumb was a day.
Okay.
Which is just, yes, yeah, it might have been good, but then that one thumb confined me to so much.
Yeah.
And then anything I put on the map after that, I had to make sure it was like a thumb worth away to indicate a day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Travel's a weird thing in D&D. We won't
We'll open that can of
We'll
worms.
open that can of worms because it is a very divisive, very controversial thing in D&D.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And no one put that constraint on me apart from myself.
Yeah.
But
it was because to you, it's like, well, they have to know.
Yeah, they're going to ask.
Oh, they're going to ask.
They're going to ask.
I have to know.
And if they see that I say that's 7 days away and it's not, they're going to think I'm a bad DM.
Which no one would.
Simply not the case. By the way, these people are my best friends.
Yeah.
They would never think that of me.
No.
Ever.
Never.
But I just had it in my head that I had to do it that way.
Yeah.
So I didn't like map.
Fair enough.
Not making at all.
That's fair.
So you said chronologically you start with a map. Is that how you would start when you're world building? No.
I start with a story.
Yes.
So I start with a story.
Well, yeah, let's go through chronologically, I suppose, what you would do.
Okay. I always think, and you don't have to do this, just remember that, this is just me.
Yeah.
I have to have a reason to start thinking of a campaign.
Yeah.
So I thought of the reason this campaign existed because I wanted to convey an idea or a story or a bad guy. It can literally be the bad guy story.
Yeah.
Like, that is usually how I'll begin.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my bad guy. This is my story. This is what they want. This is how it's going to go. And then that will build my world.
Cool.
I will then probably get it'll go my main story.
Yep.
It'll go my players' stories.
Yeah.
It'll go my map.
Yep.
And then it'll go my starting area.
Yeah.
Because just so you know, you don't have to build anything that's not in front of you.
Yeah. Which is the trap I fell into.
And I like to do a bit, so like NPCs can reference, I came from the capital, which is this place here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll think of like important landmarks or important cities, and that's about the extent of the world building I will do.
Yeah.
Until you actually are actively asking about it or are about to go there.
See, that was my problem. I expanded on everything way too much because I was scared you guys were going to ask me and I wouldn't have an answer.
Yeah.
Or you would somehow derail the session to the point of you would end up in the
we did that
capital.
anyway.
Yeah, you did that anyway, but not in that way.
Yeah.
But if you're ever worried that your players are going to bring up something you don't know or they're going to take you somewhere that you're not prepared for, just remember, you are in control and they don't care.
Also, they have no fucking clue what was supposed to be there.
Yep. No idea.
If they go, we're going to walk here. All right, cool. Fucking make it up.
Yep.
Because they don't know what was going to be there.
They don't know.
Doesn't matter if you haven't got it planned.
Uh-huh. They don't know, don't care. They're just happy to be there.
Yeah. So I think...
Okay, so you get your story, you get your player stories.
Story, player stories, map.
Yep.
Starting zone.
Yeah, okay.
That's about the extent of my world building.
Great.
And like the thing is, I say that it sounds a little bit simple. Like my story will have built places in my world.
Of course, yes.
My player characters will have built places in my world.
Yep.
And then the starting area will place my world, and then a few well-known places.
Yes.
And that's about all I do.
Yeah.
Until you begin to branch out. Oh, and then I'll build the other starter area,
Yes.
the bigger starter area.
Yes.
And then you'll go to the next region and I'll build that.
Yeah. So when you get into the starter area,
Mm-hmm.
do you break down the starter area into more nuanced things? Like if there's a church there, or if, I don't know, the population, or...
No, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I have a list of shop names.
Yep.
And I'll be like, blacksmith.
Yep.
So I'll have a list of blacksmith names.
Yep.
I'll have a list of general goods names.
Yep.
Armory names, all that stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll just flick it up and tell people. And they'll go in to speak to the blacksmith. I'll have my laptop there. I'll click on Pinterest. Dragonborn blacksmith.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks cool. So you walk in and you see, and I just literally describe the picture. That's all I do.
God, that sounds like so much freedom.
Because if I tried to plan all of those things, I wouldn't
weigh you down.
It would weigh me down, and I wouldn't be concentrating on the plot points. And,
yes.
And you know me, the reason I DM is because I want to tell a story.
Yes.
And if I'm doing things that aren't telling the story, like I can't tell a story every session. I get that.
Yeah,
but, My campaign is, very much about the 4 players I have.
Yep.
And the main story.
Yep.
That is like all my campaign is. If you're looking for like an open world sandbox game, like it is open world, you can go wherever you want because I sort of know what's going to happen wherever you go. You can do those things in any order you want. I don't have a preset order.
No.
But like I don't run a sandbox game. I just don't.
Yeah. I didn't either for the 6 sessions I did.
What about you? How did you chronologically do it?
Well, I just want to add on. Jack is very good at what he does, and he has been doing it for about 2 years now, and he is able to pull up a picture and be like, okay, yeah, that dude's fine on the fly. If you can't do that, this is not us saying
this is how you have to do it.
We would never say that.
No, everyone's different, and I think I'm probably in a bit of a minority because I know a lot of people can't turn up as little prepared as me. Like, because I think that's unfair on myself because
yes,
I
it
have
is.
fucking prepared.
It's in here.
I prepared a lot.
All day, every day.
I just can't write it down.
Yeah.
And if I try and write it down, I'll just burn myself out and not on a DM.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
So sorry. Onto you. How did you chronologically do it?
You know what? Actually, very similar to you.
Yeah.
So I got my story first.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about what the main plot line was, and kind of the start, the middle, and the end of that, which was actually very hard for me to think of.
Yeah.
Then I came to you guys. I asked you to tell me all of your backstories, tell me where you came from. I built those places.
Yeah.
And then I built the starter area and every other area as well.
Man, that must have been so hard.
It was really hard. Did
you enjoy it?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. No, that is a lie. I did enjoy it. And looking back on it, I remember really enjoying setting the groundwork down for these places that I had planned.
Yeah.
But once again, you know how I said, if you make your whole map, you're married to the idea of that.
Yeah.
If you make all of your towns and all of your cities, you're married to the idea of that.
Yeah.
And a game of D&D is so fluid, sometimes being so solidified in things isn't for the best. And that's what I found.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The same that you said about me is a game of D&D can be rigid if that's the sort of game you like to run and your players like.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, some people would turn up for me to DM for them, see that I don't, write my descriptions out and stuff like that, and probably be like, oh, boo.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. I'm not your DM.
But
I'm not the DM for you.
Some would look at the way I structured things, because I structured everything in Google Docs.
Me. If I tried to build a world like you did,
yeah,
I'd have burnt myself out on the campaign before I even started.
Yeah, and listen, I love a bullet point.
I
love a header.
You love a list.
A bullet point.
You love a list. You love like structured, ordered documents and like this. Like you can tell This is a blank screen right now. This died. I got it up earlier for some reason and I haven't used it.
You were watching the sound waves.
You like to prepare for the podcast in that way. Yeah. I like to just fucking just vibe.
Just turn up.
But that's it. Like we are just.
I get a lot of joy.
I know
from
you do.
Organising things like this.
And,
yeah.
You know, like, and that's the way you want to do it. It's fine. I don't mind.
Yeah, and I'll put up on the screen. When we were researching this, I looked back over the Google Drive I had, and
it was very impressive.
Thank you. My town. Hold on, I'll bring it up now. The way I structured my map, for example, is I break it into quadrants. So I had central, north, south, east, west, and then within that,
a quadrant is 4.
So, what did I say?
Central, south, east, west, north.
I break it into a 5-drant.
5-drant.
Into a 5-drant.
5 segments, if you would.
I break it into segments. I think that's the word I was looking for.
5 segments.
I break it into segments, and then I would have it so each city was marked with a colour.
Yeah.
Each town was marked with a different colour. I would have their names. I would have the descriptions, etc., etc. You'll see it on the screen. And whilst, yes, it was an organised way of having everything, don't necessarily know if it was a beneficial way to have everything.
And why is that?
Because, look, I just went way too far into it.
Fair enough.
And we'll get on to kind of some of the resources we use later, but I have already mentioned the Dungeon Dudes.
Yeah.
And in their video, they give you a great list of things for your towns and your homesteads, etc.
Yeah.
Questions you can ask yourself if you want to. And I made a modified list. So every single town and city I had, I would have a bullet point for what is the population? How do they get food and water? What's the defenses? What's the religion like? What are the landmarks? Who can we sell loot to? Who's in charge? And who can I get information from? And every single place, I looked through that list and I dreaded it sometimes because I was like, I have to think of all of this right now. And my players haven't even left the first town.
Yeah, you don't need to think of all of it. I mean, if you want to, you can. This is the thing. If you want to, you can.
And I wanted to, but it wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
Doing that. And I'm sure some of you listening have felt the same. You sit down and you go, oh, God, I have to do all of this. You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. Like, if you want to just, if you aren't feeling up to it, like DM burnout is a completely different like topic. But if you're just not feeling up for it that week, if you want to try and freeball it, you can.
Yeah.
And, and then if it doesn't work for you, then you're like, okay, that wasn't enough prep. I need a bit more.
And your players aren't going to care. Your players, no matter what, are going to go along with it and still have a good time.
Yeah.
When I told the group I was going to stop DMing, one of the main things people said was, because I shared how I was feeling, everyone was like, we didn't care.
Yeah.
We didn't care about any of the population of the town.
I know.
We just wanted to turn up and be with our friends and play the game.
I was saying that to you.
You were.
As it was happening.
You were. But I was so in my head about it at that point.
And, like, I think you, because, like, your preparation and my preparation are so opposite.
Yes.
And, like, if you tried to prepare with what I was, and if I was trying to prepare with what you do, neither of us would have fun.
Yeah.
So I think there's always a different amount that everyone needs to. In some sessions, I will need to because I know that I'm going to have this big moment that I want to write down.
Yeah.
Not that I can read it because I'll write it down and not read it, but I want to write it down because I want to make sure I've written it down because then I know exactly how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I want to have these, they're going to meet this NPC, and this bad guy. I want to have this picture, that picture, and this picture there so I can describe them as soon as they come up.
Yeah.
Magic items. I put so much effort because I don't have to homebrew all of them, but the party will get like a number of magical items in a campaign. Some of them will be like character specific. This was built for this character.
Yes.
And some of them will be just generic, and I'll take them out of the Dungeon Master's Guide and just be like, here you go.
Yeah.
And then some of them I'll like sit there and I'll lay awake at night thinking about how this magic item's going to work. And like that's what I want to put my effort into.
Yes.
I homebrew all my monsters. That's what I want to put my effort into.
Yeah.
Into my maps. That's what I want to put my effort into.
Yeah. I think the most important takeaway from this is, listen, what are you into? What matters to you?
When you sit down to DM for your group, which part of it makes you excited?
Yes.
Do that. That's the bit you should plan.
I think we can get caught up in the traditional sense of world building of being like, okay, right, what is this place? Is there a church?
Yeah.
How many people are here? Is there guard? I think when a lot of people say world building, they think of that first, which is what I thought of.
Which is what I used to think of.
And it isn't that. It doesn't have to be that.
And I was bad at that. And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was what you had to do to be a DM.
Yeah, which is simply not the case.
And it's just not. It's just not.
Simply not the case at all. I'm trying to think of other examples I can give for that, but nothing quite comes to mind.
Have we got any more points?
Well, we went in. We have what were the difficulties of world building, but we've kind of already addressed that.
Yeah, we've already addressed that bit.
And we have alternatives to world building.
You want to do some resources?
Yeah, well, we have to be honest, we have actually mentioned all these resources, really.
Yeah.
But just a quick fire list of them: Dungeon Dudes. I would recommend the Dungeon Dudes for a lot of things.
Yeah.
The majority of things. You have a question about D&D, they probably have an answer.
They probably have the answer, and it's probably very good.
Yeah. And that's where I got a lot of inspiration for my world building from, was the Dungeon Dudes videos.
Yeah.
Another great resource is Donjon. It's I couldn't believe that you didn't know what it was, but I suppose why would you? Because you don't use things like that.
No.
It basically, Donjon is just it's a free website where there is so many resources for randomly generating a map, randomly generating NPCs, a tavern, names, etc. Anything you could want in D&D, Donjon can generate it for you.
That sounds amazing.
It is amazing. And you know what? I think this was a point I was trying to think earlier. When we think of traditional world building and homebrew, with homebrew, I was under the impression everything had to be really intentional. Like, I couldn't just put a pub here called this Smelly Boot because it doesn't make sense. But I know that's exactly, why not?
Why can't it be the Smelly Boot?
I think a lot of people actually veer away from randomly generated things.
Why?
I don't know. I really don't know, but I feel like people do. And I was like, oh, if I use this randomly generated thing, it's not intentional enough for my story. Simply not the case.
I don't know. There is some things, that should be thought out in your campaign.
Like your main story.
Your main story and your bad guy, or like the cultists to follow the bad guy.
Everything else, really.
Like the tavern name.
Yep.
Couldn't give a fuck.
Yep, I agree. And
personally, I couldn't give a flying fuck what the tavern's called.
I would spend hours and hours and hours scouring fantasy name generator.
I used to, because I didn't like it, so I didn't want to think of it, so it bogged me down.
Hours. I would spend hours looking for the right, perfect name for this thing.
Fantasy generator, tavern name, that'll do.
I see, I would scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. Don't get me wrong, fantasy name generator is actually one of the ones we wanted to talk about.
Fantasy tavern on Pintrest. I'm telling you, Margaret's about to talk about some, obviously, the few resources. My single resource now, my only resource now is Pinterest. I made myself a Pinterest account.
Pinterest.
And
wow, if you don't know Jack, that is a big deal for him.
Making an account on a website is a big deal.
Big deal for him.
I made an account on Pinterest, and I just type in, I don't know, human assassin.
Yeah.
Boom, that's my assassin.
Yeah.
But like the description I can give from that is far better than if I was trying to write a description of a human assassin.
Yeah.
Black clothes.
Assassiny.
Average height. Covered face.
Yeah.
Dagger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the fucking bullshit I'd come up with.
See, again, I would do this thing to myself where I was like, well, I can't just go on Pinterest and use that because that's not original enough. I need to pour my blood, sweat, and tears into this.
Yeah.
And everything needs to be from my brain. man, it was exhausting thinking like
I
that.
bet it was. It sounds exhausting.
It's not healthy.
I feel exhausted from you just telling me.
I know. I'm giving myself PTSD thinking about it. Like that isn't a healthy way to think, and I'm sure some of you do think like that. But trust me, from someone who felt that more than anyone, it's simply not the case.
No.
Use resources. Resources are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Don't torture yourself being like, I'm not original enough, because listen, nothing's original.
We'll link all of the resources that we've
we'll link everything below. If I can find the pictures of our bean maps, I'll post the pictures of the bean maps.
We'll post pictures of like we said, the maps earlier on as well when we were talking about them.
Yeah, and again, to be honest, even doing the bean map for me, part of me was like, this isn't intentional enough, which is so stupid.
No.
How could I understand how building a map could be intentional?
Oh yeah, and I think there's aspects of mine that are intentional that you probably now know.
Yes. Oh God, yes, like the A B.
No, but also world building. Homebrew in a world, homebrew in a story, homebrew, all of that. It is a massive undertaking.
It is huge.
Like just I imagine to conclude this and wrap this up a little bit. Do as much as you want, take on as much as you want. If you've taken on too much, scale it back.
Yeah.
No one knows and no one cares. For a DM, your players who turn up every week and who are having a good time. If you scale back your world building behind the scenes, that isn't going to affect the session that they're playing.
No way.
And that isn't going to unimmerse them in any way or anything like that. Trying to homebrew a world full stop is a big thing.
Yep.
Like if you want to start with a module or like begin with a module and then carry on, that's a great place to start.
100%, yeah.
Don't let anyone tell you that copying in your world building is cheating or anything like that, because that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
I copy fucking all the time.
Yeah.
There are so many great worlds out there that are better than anything that I could ever create.
100%.
Why would I not take inspiration from them?
I agree. The inspiration is the most important thing, I think. And your brain might be telling you, oh, you can't do that. It's just your brain. No one else is telling you that.
No one else is telling you that.
Your players aren't telling you that.
No.
To be honest, when you think about it, you're probably not telling you that. But it's easy to get caught up and swept away in world building.
Yeah, it is. And you can take it very far. If you want to and you love that, do it.
Yes, as long as you're enjoying it, do it.
That is it.
Yeah.
Just because you're the DM doesn't mean you can't have fun.
Yes.
You're supposed to have fun too. And I found that doing less prep and improvising and just pulling things up on the fly was better for me.
Yep.
And my players haven't, like, I've been open with my players and been like, so I've started describing from pictures. What do you guys think?
We just don't care.
And first of all, they don't care. Second of all, they're like, yeah, that sounded good.
We don't even care when we go, oh, what's this person's name? And you go, oh, fucking I don't know.
Fucking John.
Yeah, we don't care.
You guys don't care.
We don't care. It doesn't take us out of the immersion. We do not care. And I sincerely doubt your players will care either. And you know what? Comparison is the worst thing ever. We started this saying there is amazing homebrew worlds out there, like Critical Role,
Matt Mercer,
like
God tier world builder,
Tolkien, worlds like that. They're incredible,
just amazing.
And you know what? Those people are master of their craft for a reason.
Yeah,
you do not have to be.
Yeah, but like, you'll start, if you're a first-time DM, you're going to start, and yes, you're going to need to build a world if you're doing a homebrew world, but you will soon. But just realize that if you're not enjoying it, don't do that part of it. Yeah. Just don't do that part of it. Being a DM, there is a lot of things that you can be amazing at, and I am more than fine with saying I'm not very good at world building, because I know I'm better at other things. Yeah. And I just lean heavy as fuck into the things that I'm good at because I enjoy them.
Yes, that's
And
the most important thing.
If I tried to be like, oh no, I should be more balanced as a DM and try and build some more world and do less story focused, character focused, backstory, stuff like that, I'd be a shitter DM because I'm trying to do the things that I'm not good at and I don't like.
And when you start to force yourself to do things, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah. So, there was a few tips in there as to what I do, what you do, how we start.
And some of them might resonate with you more than others. Some might not at all. It's completely how you feel. And if one day something works for you and then the next it doesn't, you don't have to do it anymore.
No. And, if you take up world building and you love thinking of all the towns names and stuff like that, do it. Yeah. I fucking hate it. But it doesn't matter. My world is no less of a world because
absolutely not.
Every single person in it doesn't have a name.
Absolutely not.
No, my world is better because the story that I tell within it is good, and that's what shapes my world.
Yes.
And that's just the way I do it.
I agree. Do not be scared of your players taking you off course, or your players asking you questions you don't know.
Or your players, they are a great resource for your world.
Yes, they are.
Let them build part of your world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes such a huge part of your plate.
Yeah. Just don't worry about it because what they don't know can't hurt them.
No. And the thing is, when you drop them in starter zone, Elwyn Forest, or whatever it is in World of Warcraft, they aren't going to think about end game zone. They don't need to know what's in end game zone.
They focus on what they can see right now.
Yeah, just that first area, if you're going to world build and the whole world is like overwhelming to you, just build that first zone.
Absolutely.
Nobody needs to know anything else about the rest of the world because that's not what's in front of them. And if they start asking questions, just be like, look, man, I haven't built that bit yet.
No one's going to care.
And if somebody does care, then I think that's a bit unfair.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know what's coming after this because you just put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this bit, just be like, don't know yet, mate, I haven't built it.
Enjoy the now.
Just enjoy the now.
Take it from someone who didn't enjoy the now. Take it from someone who did try to plan everything and got so burnt out and so stressed out in such a short amount of time. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
You need to be kinder to yourself. You need to give yourself a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
Everyone else is. Give yourself just that little bit of space.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah, I think so. That's a wrap, I think.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think we've said it all. A few people have, reached out to us purely with questions.
Yeah, we've got quite a few questions recently, which has been great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's really nice, and we've gotten back to as many as we can and stuff like that. So
yeah.
If you have a question for either me or Margaret or just both of us,
yes,
just feel free to hit us up with if it's a general question, if it's a specific question, anything, we don't mind, and we'll get back to you as fast as we can and try and give you the best advice we can.
And I talked about this in last episode. If you're ever getting a physical typed response to something, it's me.
It's Margaret. It'll be, sometimes it might be scribed by me. I might dictate to Margaret what to say.
It'll be scribed by me.
Yeah, sorry, scribed by you.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10. If you're getting a reply,
9.9 times out of 10.
It's me.
Yeah.
But if you want Jack, if you want something specifically from Jack, just let us know.
Yeah.
We're going to be opening up like a Google form so people can start to send in like their stories. They can send in questions they have.
Yeah.
So a more all-encompassing thing.
Yeah. Any questions? Any issues? If you've got anything about like this episode in particular, any world building issues, like just because that's the way I do it doesn't mean I haven't done it a million other ways to try and get to this point. So I can try and offer you any sort of help if I can.
I can just be your moral support. I can just be your cheerleader.
Margaret is the best moral support.
I can just tell you you're doing good.
Yeah.
I can't really.
You have just as much advice as me because you've tried it and done it.
Thank you.
I think trying and obviously unfortunately failing has shown you what you didn't enjoy.
100%. It absolutely
and I think that's
has.
Just as important as trying and succeeding. What's the old saying?
Oh no.
The old saying is you never
more than a handful of waste.
No, it's getting things right on the first try. No, that's not it. Something like if you fail, you'll learn something. If you get something right straight away, you didn't learn that thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. No, I know what you mean. The only way to get good at something is to try and fail at something.
Yeah, in my opinion, because I've tried a bajillion ways of world building and I fucking hated them all.
Yeah.
And now I've settled on this. So I've tried a lot of things.
And I'm sure
to get
this
to
will
this point.
change as well.
Oh God, yeah, I'm sure it'll change as well. When I have more time and I can do some stuff, maybe I will. But at the minute, I'm a little bit strapped for time, and this is what's working for me.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any questions?
Anything.
Hit us up. We
I mean,
don't
not
mind.
anything.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the lottery? Weed.
I don't know.
Well, hit me up. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yes,
thank
thank
you
you.
For watching. We have been
the Eldritch Podblast.
Please leave us a like, leave us a comment. We've been getting some comments, and it's felt really good.
Yeah, thanks for everyone who's engaging with the
thank you.
The YouTube, the TikTok, the lot. We appreciate it.
Yeah. And smash the like button. No, smash the bell button.
Yeah.
Smash the bell.
The notification button bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Okay, well,
All right.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.